So welcome back to Surviving a Creative Life, and I wanted to show you how I make some of my more interesting jewelry shapes for use with acrylic pour skins. Because I always end up with so many skins, you know, you really need to find things to do with them because they are really pretty. So when I looked, this one has a little tear in it, but it's not that bad. And when I first looked at it, the words that popped into my mind were Blue Africa, because it does kind of have the shape of Africa. There's just a little bit missing right here, I think, but you know, you could see where I would get that idea by looking at it. And of course the color is blue, and there's lots of different connotations to blue, so I kind of like the idea of doing a Blue Africa necklace, like a pendant with this acrylic pour. So what I did was I went out and about on the internets out there and found a picture of a shape of Africa. Now I think this is a little squinched this way, but either way it does give us like the basic shape, although I'm not about to trim this shorter and see how far off I feel like I am. I'm not that far off, but I kind of have hints of like that there. I'm not looking for it to be exact. This is a piece of art, and I am not looking for it to be a cartographer's, you know, instrument or anything like that. So I think I might trim this a little bit, but I think right there is my Blue Africa. So I'm going to hold this together as best I can. I'm going to stick a little bit of this glue. This is just Aqua Mono Liquid Glue by Tombow. And it's got a pen tip and a broad tip, which I really like for paper projects in particular. And it's acid free, and it's washable if it's something that concerns you. Now, if excuse me, I'm going to open this with my teeth, because when your hands aren't working as well as you would like them to be, crap. You tend to have to do some of this stuff with your teeth. Now, how long did it take me to position that? Now I gotta position it again. Well, you know, maybe I'll find a way I like better. Breath, Michelle. Breath, breath, breath. Okay. Does that look about right? Or it was a little more like this, wasn't it? Alright, I don't know if I got it exactly right, but it's close enough. And this has got such a little point here. I'm just going to get the point. Alright, the second part of this would involve cutting layers of a mat board. Alrighty, so what I have here is mat board. Essentially the center parts of when you mat photographs or things of that nature, you always end up with a center part. Now, some of them you can reuse if the measurements are right, and you can use them for maybe a 5x7 or, you know, a smaller image to do that. But I often have so many of these left over, and it feels ridiculous to throw them out because, first of all, they're nice and solid. I mean, they're bendable. You can see I can bend this. It's absolutely bendable. But you layer a few of these together, and you've got a pretty strong piece that you can wrap in something like my Blue Africa. I don't know why I'm going to call it my Blue Africa now. I've traced my blue Africa onto a piece of mat board, cut that piece of mat board out, and then used the mat board to trace 2 more. So I will have 3 pieces here plus the skin. So what happens is they all go together with the skin on top. To make a pendant. So they should fit closely. They're not going to be perfect unless you're one of those people who can cut like no one else, and right now my hands are a little janky, so we're not going to worry about them being perfect. This needs to scooch up a little bit. But so as you can see, this will be a nice size pendant. It's also incredibly light. We'll glue these 3 together, but first what we're going to do is we're going to take the top layer off with the acrylic. This is the middle layer, and then this is the bottom layer. So we're going to cut the middle layer so that this piece of wire can fit in it where you would put a cord. So I've been trying to decide where I want it to come in and out, where I think it would be attractive to come in and out of the pendant, and try to fit the wire What do you think about that? I actually think that might look pretty good and give enough strength up top as well. So then I'm going to take my pencil and I'm just going to hold this wire down and I'm going to draw a little channel around it, going a little bit from the wire on each side, because we are going to want this to move. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out this piece here, this middle piece that and that's going to be the channel where the cord for the pendant will run. Now, I like using this glue with paper applications. So I'm actually going to put this on my little thing here and glue that to the top. The correct way around. It's still not right, is it? No, I glued the wrong side, didn't I? I did. Alright, well that's actually not really that big a deal. I'm just going to glue it to this instead, which is the first side. There it is. Okay. Yeah. And now I'm going to take the same glue and I'm going to glue the top to the bottom here. So you see where this is going to leave the channel in the middle. And I'm actually going to do it with the wire already in it, so I don't have to worry about trying to feed it in there. So I'm going to put a little bit on there. Whatever I don't use, I'm going to put on my hands. You don't want it to be too thick, but that should do it. And you're going to put that right in the middle where you want it. And then you're going to use the rest to like moisturize your hands. I'm going to put glue on this piece, and I'm going to put glue on this piece, and this is how I'm going to avoid trying to glue down the middle a little bit. I don't want to put too much glue on or it will run over into the channel. And it will actually cause problems. But you do want to make sure you get the edges really well. And then I'm just going to flip this over. And I'm going to line it up. It's going to give me a little wiggle room here. I'm going to do it with the thing in it. There we go. And I'm going to try to line it up as much as possible before everything dries. Pushing is not like a very recommended activity right now with me, so I'm using my not so great hands to like hold things together. So we're gonna get a little help from the dollar store for that. And I have these little clips, and they came from the dollar store, and I'm gonna go, they're just the right to be able to clip this without hurting it. I tried using binder clips on them at one point, and they're just too much, and they put dents in the acrylic and in the paper. So these don't seem to do that as much. Make them a little easier to work with, except I'm just gonna have to deal with using the one. And actually that might be okay. I like to have one in the middle. See? I have stuff in front of the drawer where those are located, and I have a cat that I'm wrangling also to try and get to them, so, because he likes to get in the drawer whenever I have it open. Voila! Alright, so I'm going to go sit this aside somewhere, and let it dry, probably overnight. And then when I come back, the next time I get a chance to come back and my hands are feeling okay enough to hack at this again, I'm going to trim the edges. And I'm going to fill in the rest. I'm going to use other acrylic skins to do the back and the sides. I had every intention of bringing you along for this full project, but unfortunately when my camera died, I had to keep going just to keep my anxiety under control. And so I went ahead and finished this for the most part. I obviously still have to do a couple more dips in the polyacrylic, but I used the textured side on the back. Do you see that? And then I rubbed a silver wax over it before coating it. So it's got this real nice sheen to it. So there is some silver leaf in this, so that this can be a charm worn all on its own. Maybe I'll add a few beads, something like that, but it's going to be very, very simple because I want this to be the focus, because this is the piece. This is the piece you have watched me make. So it is, when we're talking about flexibility here, it's, let me see if I can get a good angle here. It bends, but not easily, and that's hard on my hand, so it's pretty sturdy. And I like it to have a little curve, so it does have a little curve to it. And when Blue Africa is finally finished, because this is looking really cool and it's just what this wanted to be, I will definitely post a picture because it already looks cool. I can't wait to see it when it's finished. I've lost count of how many times this has been dipped in the polyacrylic. I'm gonna say 5 or 6. So it should be very, very strong as it continues to dry. I mean, it's not tacky or anything, but it will continue to cure afterward. I think it looks really nice. Now, on the front side, because this actually does kind of have a front and a back, not that you couldn't wear it reversibly, but it does have a slight curve to it, which I like to do with larger pendants. because that curve just looks better against the body when you put it. But you will actually be able to wear it the other way. I have a gorget that's made like this, which is much larger than this piece, and it is reversible and it works both ways. I'll show you. Actually straighten this a little bit. This is actually an exercise, I think, for my poor carpal tunnel surgery hand. There we go. All right. So that is out. Now, this has not been, the polyacrylic has only been drying on this for a couple of hours. But I am going to go in here and just kind of straighten some stuff out here with a skewer. All right, so I think that's good. There's the pendant, the finished pendant. And I'm going to show you how to get the rat tail through the pendant. I do hate the term rat tail. So I have this piece of thinner wire. I don't believe this is copper. I think this is just a colored wire, and this is just the tool that I made to get this through here. Because it's not as easy as you might think it might be. So what I do is I pinch the end. See the pinched end there? Well, I'm going to pinch it again. I'm not really going to pinch it. I'm just going to like adjust the wire enough that it feels like one piece instead of two. See? And then I'm going to feed that through the channel in the piece. See, it goes through pretty easily, right? And I'm going to feed it out enough. I do have another little piece out here I might have to adjust after, but it will probably go back. You open this end up a little bit. Feed the rat tail in. And then close it back down again. You're going to want to have at least the length of the piece. I usually say a little bit more if you can afford it, depending on how short you're making your piece. So you see how I have it threaded in, and then you pull it back through. Now this is not easy usually to get started. I'm going to kind of brace this in my hand as I do this. But this one is going through pretty easily. There we go. It's through. So then you undo. You have to excuse me, my hands don't work so great right now. So grabbing onto a small piece of wire is very difficult for me. Detail work is difficult, so. Let me just pull this back through so it's even. There we go. All right. Okay, so that's how that works. I will tie a knot in the end of this, but most of the time I will leave the pendant by itself. This one is crying out for beads for me. So I think I'm going to actually thread a few probably wooden beads, because I feel like this one needs wooden beads, maybe black wooden beads. I'm not sure. I will play with them and we'll find out what works. But I think it wants a few beads down here before I tie this into an adjustable closure, so you can actually adjust it up or down according to where you want to wear it on your body. You know, if you want it longer, if you want it to come down between your breasts, if you want it to come up on your near your collarbone, more like a choker, you can usually do close to both of those things with this. I hope you enjoyed the journey through the making of this pendant, and I will post a final picture. This was the finished product. The black beads are wood, and the blue beads are actually Murano glass beads that I bought when I was in Venice several years ago. Murano glass beads seem to be the perfect addition to this necklace because they come from a watery place, and water in Africa is what inspired this necklace.